Well, the only person that ever has problems with boundaries are people who don't have any boundaries. So, first and foremost, I would tell people struggling, create boundaries. And who cares what anyone else thinks? If they get their feelings hurt, that's on them, not you. And I
Seriously,
always,
that it is that simple.
yeah, I always say I'm a recovering perfectionist, but you know, yeah, I mean, I would tell anybody I was a doormat until about 2 years ago. I just never told anyone no. I was always like, what can I do to help? I'm over here like suffering and miserable, but as long as you're happy, everything's great. I'm thrilled. Give me more on my plate. It's fine. Um, and someone told me just before I turned 40, and it's so funny. I don't like, I'm not a big cusser. I don't really use bad language on the regular, but I had a friend tell me, she said, when you turn 40, you're give a damn bust. And I was like, all I could think about was the 90s country song by Jody Messina, because Jody Messina was a country singer back in the 90s, and she has a song called My Give a Damn's Busted. And I was just like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And she just said, I don't know. It's like a light switch. You turn 40 and you just stop caring what anyone else thinks. And I was like, oh, that'll never be me. I'm always worried about everybody else. And right around the time I turned 40, I wouldn't say that I don't care. I'll always care.
Yeah.
But I started putting up these boundaries. And it was really hard at first because everybody was sort of like, wait, what? You're saying no? You're backing away? You're not going to come to this event? You're not going to be a part of this? You're not going to come home for the holiday or whatever? And I was just like, that doesn't suit me. No, like I'm not. I'm not going to do this or that. And, it was hard and it's still hard to this day. But having boundaries is so important for my mental health. And I think for most people's mental health that that's first and foremost. I'm like, get those boundaries in check. And if you have to make a list, if you have to write a letter, if you have to send an email, you have to have a conversation over coffee, like whatever it is, if someone isn't respecting the boundaries that you're putting in place, they have no place in your life. Like,
Yeah.
just absolutely, they just don't.
And if
But
you allow them to disrespect your boundaries, you're just giving them a recommendation, not setting a
oh,
boundary.
100%.
I heard
Yes.
someone say that a while ago, and I'm like, that's good.
Yeah,
I gotta
that's
retain that.
really good.
Yeah.
But also just reach out to people. There's people in my life who know about my struggles in the past. And we don't even talk. We don't even talk every year, but they know who they are. And I've reached out multiple times and said, hey, I'm struggling again today. And they're always there. I always know that they will be there. And I think everyone needs a person like that in their life. Again, it doesn't have to be your best friend, doesn't have to be your family member, doesn't have to be someone you talk to all the time, but you need to have someone that you trust that you can just, again, reach out to when you're struggling, who can help you. That's very
Yeah.
important.
When you reach out to them, what do they like say, or what is it that's so comforting to you?
Just honestly, very little has to be said. It's just, okay, I'm praying right now. Or, okay, where do you want to meet? Or, okay, do you want to come over? Or, okay, do you want to, call me? Let's talk.
Yeah.
They offer whatever it is they can offer in that time. And it just, I don't know, just that knowledge of it's someone that's been there, that's been down that path, that gets it is just worth its weight in gold. Because so many people are like, oh, I'm so sorry. But they've never been there. They don't understand it. They don't get it. And so the words, as sweet and meaningful as they may be, they just kind of fall flat and they sound hollow. So to know that it's someone that's like, no, you know what? I actually contemplated ending my life. I get it. Call me anytime you need.
Yeah.
There's just something to that matters more than anything anyone else can say.
Yeah, I get that. I had a friend that on probably the worst day of my life, but got a few of those. But I remember what she said to me that was the most grown up thing that I've ever heard come out of the mouth of someone. And she was like, what do you need from me right now?
Yes.
And it was like, oh, and this was like, I didn't even know how to respond because nobody's
Yeah.
ever said that to me before. And I froze up, and she was like, do you want me to listen? Do you want to just sit here? Do you want me to go? Do you need to go? And just started like giving me
Yeah.
like food for thought and things to think about. And eventually I was able to say, like, I just really want to go for a walk. And then it was like, do you want me to come with you? Do you need to be out
Yeah.
by yourself? And I was like, I would actually like it if you came with me. And it was just like this, I mean, horrible. I mean, this was like right when I was getting divorced, lost my job, all hell broke
Yeah.
loose and like everything fell. And I just remember like you know, I don't know if I would have made it through that week if I didn't have that kind of support in that moment. And so what I've tried to really learn from that. And when someone does come to me, or I want to be there for someone that I see is struggling, in a lot of cases, you want to help, but a lot of people don't know how, or
Right.
they feel like the best way to relate to you is to share a story about themselves, or
Yeah.
the best way to relate to you is to give you advice. And I'm guilty. I think we're all guilty of doing those things.
Oh, for sure.
But when you're in crisis, or you're in a place where you don't even really know what you want, or feel hopeless, just
Mm-hmm.
having a person who will sit there and say, what do you need from me? How can I help you? Um,
Yeah.
and that's not, let me know if you need anything, because that's a very different thing.
Yeah.
Let me know
I've
if you
had
need
that too.
anything. Peace. Yeah,
Right.
well, I need you to ask me what I need right now, or how you can help
Mm-hmm.
me right now. That's what I need. So I do think that everybody should have someone like that. And just remember, it's like, it's okay to reach out. And it's not always that someone might not always be available that you want to reach out to. And that's okay too. But like, you've got to have those people in your life, because otherwise you're just isolated and alone. And then I say you stew in your own juices of
Oh, for sure.
negativity, of these feelings of, suicidal thoughts, or self-harm, or hopelessness, or loneliness, or any of these things. And I just would really encourage people to, and you know what I think is, this is a hard thing to say and understand. And I think we've all been here too, but um, if you don't have that person in your life, you might want to like reevaluate some things, reevaluate
Mm-hmm.
some relationships and some friendships, and find out if they're still suiting you or not.
That's a huge part of why I want to start doing more speaking and traveling. And um, I mean, I'll talk to anybody anywhere, but I really want to do more speaking at high schools and colleges, just because that's when my struggles started, and I felt very alone at that point in my life, and I felt very like, we're young and no one has any real problems. So no one really wants to hear about mine, because everybody's just, falling in love for the first time and drinking for the first time, or sorority, or whatever it is they're into, and I just, it's not lost on me that there are far too many people in this world who do not have anyone to talk to. That that's a big reason why I'm trying to get more into the speaking world, because I always say, if me sharing hard and difficult or tragic things from my past, and there's so much more we could dive into that I've gone through, but I'm like, if one person has dealt with even just one of these things, I want you to feel seen and heard and important and cared about and loved. And if no one's ever told you that, let me be the first. And whether it's through a DM on Instagram, or if it's on a stage in front of 50,000 people, or if it's over coffee at Starbucks, like, I want to have those conversations, and I want to listen and be there for people who don't feel like anyone is there for them, because I've been there too.